Welcome to Tax Tips and Tea. My name is Lynette, and we are going to go over the financial mistakes that I'm not too proud to admit. So, I was in practice for 27 years, and I sold my practice in 2019 to be able to take a step back and then work exclusively with the niche market that I like. I work with men in the construction industry and I work with women entrepreneurs that are facing some of the same struggles as me. I'm also a degreed accountant and I'm an enrolled agent, which means I represent my clients in front of the Internal Revenue Service if needed. I do tax planning and I have fractional CFO services, which is a little bit more of a deeper dive into the accounting for my clients. Anyways, we're going to talk about financial mistakes, and this is going to be really important for people that have been in business for the first 5 to 10 years, actually from startup to the 10-year mark. After 10 years, I'd probably say you kind of got something going. But those first 10 years could be really rough trying to start that business. I started my business in 2002, and the technology and everything was a lot different then. So it was a real struggle. But we're going to go over some of those mistakes that I made at the very beginning that I wish I didn't. And I probably would have been much more successful in those first 5 to 10 years. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get started. And real quick quote: the lesson might save you from learning the hard way. So the financial mistakes that women make and they don't talk about, I've made most of these, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it. But let's go ahead and start with the first one: mixing personal and business finances for years and paying the price at audit. I was never audited, but I have had clients audited. So what that means is that you're commingling business and personal finances together. And at the end of the year, you're not separating everything properly. So things might be picked up on the personal side that goes onto your business tax return, and then stuff on your business side that might go on your personal side. IRS doesn't like that too much. Usually, banks have very inexpensive checking accounts. It's just easier to do it that way. You can transfer cash back and forth between the two accounts, no problem. But it's when you start getting into those expense, you go to Costco or Sam's Club or something like that, and half the expense is personal and half the expense is business. IRS requires to see those receipts showing that it's all business when you have commingled funds. If you don't have the receipt, they could deny the deduction. So, more than likely, if you have a separate account for your business, they're going to treat that differently. They're going to look at it and say it's probably business. But you still need to keep those receipts in case they ask for it. But if they see that your funds are commingled with your personal, they will doubt and question every single expense you have. Like I said, I've worked with clients that have been audited, and that was one of the biggest things that I saw when an audit was happening when funds were commingled. So, number two, waiting too long to hire help because it felt like an expense instead of an investment. I had a great lady when I first started. She started with me in my first year. The problem was is that I didn't she wasn't very expensive, she was older, and she became hard of hearing. And one, I didn't wanna let her go because she knew what she was doing, but then part of me, I couldn't afford the next person. So, it took me a while, but I finally ended up hiring a second person. She no longer had to answer phones and stuff like that. She still worked for a couple more years, but I had to take the leap of faith and hire a new person for my front office and for filing and, you know, helping the clients and things like that. But it took a long time for me to realize I really needed to do that because the person that was my key employee was just not able to handle the full job. So that was really scary. I didn't know if I was going to make it, but it actually freed up a lot of my time and allowed me to go out and get new work. And within a couple months, I was able to afford both employees. So, number three, underpricing for years out of fear and realizing too late what it cost and lost revenue. If you're an introvert like me, it's very easy to just be like, I really like my clients, so I'm going to grandfather them in at my low rate. Being in business for 27 years, I had clients that were still paying rates that were 15 years, in the making. So I would raise them like $10 or $15. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. Everybody across the board, if I could start over those first 10 years, I definitely would have changed that. What was happening is that you think that you raise the rates for the new clients and leave the rates for the old clients, but then you had this huge difference in your your grandfathered in clients, and then your new clients are basically paying for the other ones. If you could lower this part and raise this part, you'd be the same. If you lost some clients, it's okay. Because if you had 100 clients that were being charged 25% under what the market was saying, and you lost 10% of them, you're still winning. So unfortunately, we have a really hard time, especially with really good clients, to raise their rates when we should be reviewing that every year. So that is one thing, is to reevaluate your fees on clients that have been with you for more than a year or two, and make sure that they're paying fair market pricing, because it's just not fair. If they went somewhere else, they'd be paying the current price. So why wouldn't they pay you that price? If they leave, then you just replace them with someone else. Number four, ignoring quarterly estimated taxes until the April bill arrives with penalties. So it also does not say anything about interest, but you could be charged penalties and interest if you do not pay your tax estimates on time. Now, this could be for your federal or your state, and if you have a local tax too. So your tax accountant should be calculating those for you. Either they calculated it every quarter based on your current revenue, or they give you an estimate based on your prior year tax liability at least, and then they revisit it again once or twice a year. So if you are not receiving that, you definitely need to find someone who's going to help you with that planning, because that's just part of your normal tax service. You may have to pay them a little bit for review, but it's still worth it to avoid the penalties and interest. And I always say, I know my clients would prefer to pay me to calculate these things properly than to pay the IRS the extra interest and penalties. So you might as well make sure that you're paying the right person, which is the person that you trust with their advice. Number five, trusting someone else to manage the money without understanding the numbers yourself. So that is basically when you hire someone to take care of your entire office and that while you work. The problem with that is that if you do not know what the numbers should be or could be, then you're just giving your business over to someone else to manage it for you. So make sure you know those numbers. Make sure you have someone on your side that's going to sit down with you, go over those numbers, and make them make sense to you. You do not need to have a degree in accounting to understand what finances are. You just need to have someone be able to explain those things to you. You pay a service for those things. If you're paying someone to do your taxes and bookkeeping right now, you should have some kind of information to be able to understand it, not just throw it in a desk and pretend it doesn't exist. You should have someone that is going to be telling you, this is what we need to work on, at least every quarter. If you don't, make sure you reach out to me and I'll help you. Number six, reinvesting everything back in, never paying yourself and calling it building. So, those first couple of years, I had supplemental income from other sources. I did some consulting and stuff like that for another large firm, but I was building my own business. And I just kept dumping all the money back into my business. The problem with that is I didn't know when to stop doing that. At what point do I get paid for all my time and effort? So make sure you have something on a schedule that says, by this point, I want to start paying myself X amount. And to tell you the truth, if you have a goal like that, you're probably going to hit it. So make sure that you have things written down so that you do not keep feeding the monster, you could say. You could build a business. You can have a $5 million business. But if you're not getting any benefit out of it personally as the owner and the person who's working all the time in it, then what's the point? So make sure you have a system in place, that you have a goal in mind of when to start doing your own distributions. So, six financial lessons learned in the hard way. Separate accounts always. Pay yourself first. Pay your estimates. Understand your own numbers. Cheap advice is expensive. So make sure that one's really important. The cheapest tax professional, the cheapest bookkeeper, the cheapest attorney, these are false economies. So the right advisor pays for themselves many times over. I work with my clients one on one multiple times a year, and they pay me for my service. And I'm not the cheapest out there. However, what I'm saving them and the peace of mind I'm giving them is priceless. So make sure that you find someone that's like that, or reach out to me and I can help you out too. I work exclusively with women and businesses. I built two businesses. I actually had two separate firms, and I'd be more than happy to help you with those things. Years and years of experience. I've worked with multiple businesses. I've seen them go from their startup all the way to clients that were selling their business and getting ready to retire. So make sure that you reach out to me or to someone to get some help. Number six, mistakes are Mistakes are data, not failure. So let's say that you have a month that's really, really, really bad and you're negative. You had to take money out of your savings just to fund things, and you're like, what happened? Um, it's you didn't do anything wrong. What you're going to do now is you're going to take that data and you're going to see what you need to change going forward so you don't keep making that same mistake. So it could just be that you had a big expense in that month, but if you don't even know what your numbers are, you're not even going to know that. You just think that I just messed up. I messed up somewhere. But just remember, mistakes are data. It's something to learn from. And it's not does not mean that you failed anything. It just means that you now have more information to build on. Very important. So I like to refer a couple books. I have no this is not a solicitation or anything like that. I just like to recommend some things. One is Women in Money. That's by Susie Orman. Most people know who she is, but that is a really good book to read. I have not read that one yet, but that one would be good just to learn a little bit more about money as a woman. The other one is Profit First by Michael Lawes. I can't say that. Anyways, I have read that one, and that's actually really good. And that's about if you focus on your profit and what you want that to be, and you work backwards, you'll know what you want your sales to be. So if I say I want to make $150,000 this year, I have to work backwards to see what I need to gross. When we think about that, about our gross, we have something to a goal to reach for. We know that we want to have that specific number. We know what it looks like. We know what it tastes like. We know what we need to do to achieve it. We know what our expenses are. We know what our number is. But how do we reach that top number? So sometimes when you work backwards, you are going to find that you achieve that number faster. So that is a good book, and it does talk about those things and also having systems in place, kind of like we discussed about having your taxes set aside, having your rainy day cash fund set aside, and to build the profitability from the start. So, very important books. So, every mistake you learn from is one you don't repeat. So, like I said before, if you make a mistake in your month to month or something, let's say you have a couple of bad months, they're not mistakes in the same way that you did something wrong. They are something just to learn by. So if you just keep thinking that every mistake is an opportunity to correct, every mistake is a way for me to learn something new, every mistake is a way for me to ask questions, you're going to learn from that and you're going to grow. So make sure that you have the foundation in place so that you know what those numbers are so you can recognize when there is an issue that you need to address. So, real quick, financial mistakes are not moral failures. They are gap in information and structure. The right systems prevent most of the most expensive mistakes from ever happening. Knowing your numbers is the highest form of respect that you could pay your business. I like that one. You don't have to learn everything the hard way. You can learn from someone who already did did that or has done that. Get your literature, learn from other professionals, reach out to women that have grown their businesses also. Get a good tax person, especially a woman that owned their business and built up a couple firms. I went through all those same things. I know finances and I still made mistakes. So don't ever be afraid to ask for help. And you should know that you're not alone in everything you do. There's so many women out there that would be happy to help you with questions, concerns, whatever. Treat them to lunch, treat them to coffee, stop by their office, be nice, bring them some donuts, something. But you can get a lot of information from other women business owners just by asking. And the expression closed mouths don't get fed, well, that also works with advice. So you don't have to pretend that you are doing okay if you're not. So if you are struggling, that is the time to reach out to someone. The best time is before you're struggling to have that peer or that network or the girlfriends that you need or whatever, so that you can talk to them when the problems start and they can help you navigate through it in a way. It could really hurt our mental health and everything like that. So we want to make sure that we have things in place that we don't have to keep making the same mistakes over and over, especially when there's people out there that will help you. So, real quick, take a moment to reflect. What financial habit or decision have you been avoiding looking at honestly? And what would change if in your business if you finally faced it? So, think about, challenges that you've had and that you've just ignored them, you just moved on. You didn't even look back at that bad month, that bad week, that bad client, whatever. You didn't even look back But how can you learn from it if you don't look and see what happened? So that's what that's about. It's very important. I want you to sit with that, write it down, work through it, write down everything you can, every positive, every negative thing about that thing, and then make sure you talk to somebody too if you need additional information or guidance on how to prevent it from happening again. So, starting this month, confirm your accounts are separated. No personal and business money commingled. Set quarterly tax reminders. Put it in your calendar. Quarterly estimates are due April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and January 15th. Put them in your calendar right now and make sure that you follow up with your tax person to help you calculate those things if they didn't already give you estimates. Establish your owner's pay. Like I was saying, if you're working in your business for several months, why are you not getting paid? Now you might be, and that this doesn't apply to you. But let's just say that you have been working, let's say you started your business a year ago and you're still not taking any, distributions. When are you going to start? Did you buy new equipment? Did you buy this? Did you buy that? When are you going to start taking advantage of your hard work? So make sure you have something written down, you have goals set, and you know what your numbers look like. Number four, review last month's profit and loss. So a lot of people go, I don't have a profit and loss, or I don't even know where it's at, or my accountant doesn't give it to me. If that's the case, call me. But let's say you do have that information. Um, if you look at it and it doesn't make any sense, or the numbers, net profit, profit margins, or gross profit, gross income, where's my vehicle? All of those different questions. If you don't understand the documents, you do not, like I said, have to be a financial guru. You don't have to be an accountant. You don't have to be a tax professional to understand what those numbers are. Have someone sit down with you. Have them tell you what the important things are to look at. Now, you should be doing this every at least quarter with your tax accountant. But if you don't, at least have them either do a quick video, maybe. Maybe they could do a quick video on Zoom or something, or even, have a 15-minute meeting with you. But they can also do a meeting where they're just talking about your numbers and what they mean, and then shoot you an email with it. I mean, it doesn't take that long. It takes less time than a phone call sometimes. So that's very important to make sure. If you don't know what your numbers are, then how can you go forward? You just assume that you're doing okay? You have to know what they are. That's why you pay people to take care of this for you. It's not just for decoration, it's not just for tax purposes. It's so that you can make good decisions as the owner of your business. Last one is schedule a financial checkup with your EA, your tax accountant, your CFO, whoever. Um, Make sure that you have that in place so that you always know where you're at financially, tax purposes, and business wise. So I'm Lynette again, and I do have a free consultation for 30 minutes that you could talk to me, ask me questions, anything like that. You can find the link in my page description, and I'd love to talk to you. So make sure you stay connected with us. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on the notifications on the YouTube channel. Make sure you share this with any women that may find benefits from it. It's not just for business owners. I also work with individuals or high income, women professionals that are just so busy that they just don't have time to take care of this stuff, but they still want to make sure that everything looks good. Um, we try and put out our videos every week. We do have a Substack that we do some additional writing. We do share these videos on Substack, but we have some other little stuff too, some random stuff here and there. So also make sure that you put in the comments something that you promised me today you're going to do this week. Or in by the end, today is the 25th. Tell me something you're going to do by June 30th. If you see this after that, whatever month we're in, what are you going to do by the end of the month or end of the week? What are you going to change? Are you going to change anything? Are you going to do something different? Because if you don't change, you're just making the same mistakes over and over. And my goal is I love to see people succeed. So it doesn't matter if I'm doing perfect. I love to see my clients succeed. I want to watch you flourish. I want to watch the clients grow. Being a tax accountant, that, we have a teacher's heart and we want to the whole point is to help our clients grow. So, anyways, I'd love to hear how you're going to help yourself, how you're going to do things differently, what you're going to change. And I'd love for you to circle around and tell me how it worked also. You're more than welcome to reach out to me through my page here on YouTube, or you can even go onto my website, atprosinc.com. The link is in the description, and you could throw me an email through there. That's fine. I'll try and answer you as soon as I can. And then, like I said, We're on Substack. We're on Instagram. We're not very active on Instagram, but I put it on there because it's fun sometimes to go on there and I share some stuff. But really, Substack and YouTube are going to be the main ones. And I'd love to work with you. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to see you succeed in your business. So once again, my name is Lynette. I'm with AT Pros, and I hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.